So, lads, we've seen quite a few of the WNBA teams signing players to hardship contracts. We've seen teams have one injury and immediately sign a player to a hardship contract. We've seen all of this stuff happen. However, one thing is interesting when it comes to the Fever is that they've done nothing. And I understand they have a game on Tuesday, but this is day, what? Are we in day 3? We're in the second day since the injuries. And you would think that, they're going to try to hire a player because, again, hardship contracts don't go against the salary cap. If a player was going to be injured, they probably know by now. However, if you look at the Fever versus the Washington Mystics, I thought, okay, they need to cover people for the injuries to Sophie Cunningham. For the WNBA, the hardship rule, they need 10 active players. Otherwise, they can sign like an emergency hardship contract. They need permission from the WNBA to sign them. But if a player is out for more than 3 weeks, they can get a hardship contract till they come back. However, I don't know if it's if we're going to see players out for 3 weeks, because if you guys didn't see right here, Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson are game time decisions. I have no idea who Breanna is. And to be fair, Christy Wallace did that too. But Sophie Cunningham and Sid Colson are game time decisions. So that means if they are game time decisions, it basically means that they're not bringing anybody. If they are game time decisions, then it's like it's a situation where they're not going to be able to do anything by Wednesday or by Tuesday. It says Wednesday, if you're wondering. It says Wednesday at my time. It's Tuesday because I'm in Ireland. But you're looking now at the players here with both of them being game time decisions according to the app. And again, look, I think the app is probably not that crazy. However, like, are there any that are like questionable? I just want to see, just in terms of injuries, if there are any like questionable players. So are the Lynx playing anytime soon? Because I know Fee is questionable. I want to see what they have for Nafisa Collier. So the Lynx are playing Monday, tomorrow. So when it comes to this, okay, she's a game time decision, which is questionable. So if you're looking at players, like, again, you're seeing some of these players that are in the similar boat. And that is for a different video. That is definitely for a different video. But when it comes to the Indiana Fever, you've now got a situation where if these players are questionable and they don't know what's happening to the injuries, and you might be saying, okay, they can be upgraded to out, but until they're officially upgraded to out, the Fever can't do anything. The Fever by Wednesday, until these players have been officially upgraded, they can't go to the league and say, we need a hardship player, because again, they are, if these players are going to be out for 3 weeks, they get the official hardship contract. Then again, they need it needs to be sorted quickly, and it needs to be also the league decides if the players are out. It's not the players. It's not the players at all. It is the league that decides how long these players are out and whether or not it's like justified to get a hardship player. And then for an emergency hardship contract, it's a tough one to get them as well, because the league decides. The league decides in the hardship contracts. So if it turns out that Sid Colson is compromised and is a game time decision, same with Sophie Cunningham. And by the way, if you looked at how Sophie Cunningham rolled her ankle, it did not look bad. Neither time Sophie Cunningham rolled her ankle did it look bad. It didn't. Like, she missed 1 game to start, or did she miss 2 games to start the season? I think she might have missed 2 games, if I'm not mistaken, and then came back for the first Atlanta game, which is ironically the only good regular season game Sophie Cunningham has played so far, was that first Atlanta game. But, like, it's a really tough scenario for the Indiana Fever, because if these players The worst thing is that these players are game time decisions for them. Like, obviously, you want the players to be healthy, first of all. And second of all, you probably want them to, you probably want players to be, like, completely out so you can sign people on a hardship. So, like, people are wondering maybe what the Fever can do. The only thing the Fever can do right now is make a trade, it seems. Because it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get anyone on a hardship. They might be able to bring in somebody for Caitlin, but she's not out for 3 weeks. And if it's game time decisions, then like nobody's going to be like they're not going to be able to bring in somebody unless the players are officially out. And then what happens if 6 hours before? Will they end up pulling a Celeste Taylor for Sid Colson? If you guys don't know, with Celeste Taylor last year, 6 hours before the Phoenix Mercury Indiana Fever game, Celeste Taylor got called up to the Phoenix Mercury. 6 hours before. And now you've got a situation where it's it's just not looking great. It is not all around. It's not looking great for the Fever. And I think we're looking at a team now that is in a really bad position short term. Look, the one positive is there are 2 teams that you are worried about in the playoffs. The Lynx and the Liberty. If the Indiana Fever can manage to get any sort of a run together, like realistically, you're only going to have to be 500 on the season. So even if the Indiana Fever, let's just say Caitlin Clark misses, they're 2-4 right now. They're going to be likely 2-6 by the time she's almost back. And let's just say she misses the Dream of the Liberty game. And that's my prediction, that she takes 3 weeks off. Let's just say they're 2-8 to start the season. And they're in the 12th seed. It's not an impossibility to catch up from 2-8, especially when you've played the Dream 3 times and the Liberty twice. The only problem is you've got probably 2 L's against the Mystics and an L against the Sky and an L against the Sun. So that's probably a bad situation, but it's not impossible to come back from 2-8. Not impossible. Is it likely? Is it an easy thing to do? No. But it is not impossible to come back from 2-8. And I do think that the Indiana Fever have a not good chance, but like a legitimate chance of coming back from 2-8 to getting into that 6th seed. Because if you get to that 6th seed, who are you going to face? The Dream, the Mercury. Like, they're the type of teams you're going to be playing at that 3rd seed. Maybe the Aces. Who knows? Maybe the Aces. And I think the Fever fancy their chances against any of those teams in a playoff setting. And I would assume the playoff setting isn't 2 home games anymore. Like, where the top seed gets 2 home games in a row and then game 3 automatically is in the lower seeds arena. That's really dumb. So I don't think that's going to happen anymore. However, yeah. If the Fever end up coming in as a 7th seed, look, you have to beat one of these 2 teams to get to the championship anyway. And ironically, it's a lot easier. It is going to be the Fever, in my opinion, are more likely to win a championship coming in as the 7th or 8th seed than they are as the first, or as they are as one of the top seeds. If you're wondering why, the first round is best of 3. The second round is best of 5. The finals are best of 7. The best chance they have of beating the Liberty or the Minnesota Lynx is in a best of 3. The best chance they have is a best of 3. I don't think they have a chance against either of those teams in a best of 5 setting. So, who knows? Who knows? Maybe this slump could help the team, but like at this stage, I'm just living in hope because, like at this stage, with how the season starts, if the Fever just look to make the playoffs, because look, you don't want to be in the lottery. You just don't. You want to make an ideal scenario for the Indiana Fever is make the playoffs, get in the lottery, and draft Awafam. Like, that is the most ideal scenario. This is the highest upside player. This is a player that can play beside Aaliyah Boston, offer the defense, offer the athleticism needed beside Aaliyah Boston. Isn't going to be ready right away, but you're still going to get good free agents because you're the Indiana Fever. And yeah, that is pretty much it in my opinion. So anyway, yeah, that's the video. I'll see you guys.